So something that has really changed about supply chain design, and a lot of people have sort of aren't totally tuned into this change. There's a long-standing idea that supply chain design really only applies to big strategic projects. The classic is, where should I put my warehouses? Where should I put my nodes? We used to call that type of application a network design application. And back, it was about in the year 2012 or so that we started using the name supply chain design instead of network design. Because what we saw was that we had many, many clients who had a lot of questions about how to change their supply chain. And those changes, in many cases, were not big changes. They weren't facility changes. They were detailed changes. My buildings are all going to stay where they are, but maybe I want to change which SKUs are stocked in which location. Maybe I want to try a different transportation mode. Maybe I want to change the frequency of replenishment between the echelons in my distribution network. I don't do those things today. I wonder, will that be good for me if I do that? Those are decisions that are about a supply chain that you could have in the future, but you don't do today. That's the definition of supply chain design. It's figuring out what changes to make to the current network to make a network that's easier to run, easier to manage, that's designed to work well. Supply chain design is not just structure. It's structure, it's policy, it's strategy, it's also detailed business rules. In a supply chain design study, I can look at literally any change to my existing supply chain, from the biggest change possible to the tiniest operational changes about how I load trucks and when I load them and what sequence do I run products on what production line. Now, all of that sounds very, very detailed, and it is. You're making those decisions today if you've got that in your supply chain. And those repeating decisions are what we would call supply chain planning decisions. But when you're planning, you are operating in a series of constraints that it's how we've done it before. I got to make this set of decisions, but I already am restricting myself to a set of operating approaches. The ability to then question that, to question anything, that's supply chain design. One of the most important contributors to a supply chain design project is actually imagination. Because in a supply chain planning world, you're running today's network. You've got to get things done. You can't really afford to think about, what if I did this differently? What if I tried this other option? Because the stuff's got to get scheduled, it's got to get run, it's got to get produced. I've got to get the replenishment orders out the door. So I have to leave a lot of constraints in place. But the big breakthroughs, which could be at a top level or at a very detailed level, the real breakthroughs are about questioning and doing things differently from how I do them today. That's supply chain design. And it is not only for the big decisions, it's for the medium decisions, it's for the little decisions. Supply chain design makes it safe to step out, question what I'm doing at any level of detail, and then make a change. It doesn't cost me anything, just the time it took to get those models built and to ask that question. And when I do that, I am opening up a whole world of opportunity for my supply chain that I can't consider on a day-to-day basis. That's why supply chain design and supply chain planning end up working together so well over time.